Louisiana Beer Reviews, CPB. Chocolate peanut butter porter ale with natural flavors added. I've been preaching this sermon, preaching this homily for years now. You want to find out what a product is, you look at the label and it's going to give you a disclosure. It might be real tiny, but that's what it actually is. And people will be arguing on Facebook and all about, or whatever social media, about what the product is. This is a clear cylinder can with the adhesive paper label, kind of a plastic coated paper. So you see this chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup type thing swirling around. So many fantastic colors. Lupulin Brewing Company of Big Lake, Minnesota. Not far from that highway in Louisiana. You say, what? What? You're talking about that highway right there, which I can see the cars at night. The cars at night, lights are shining bright. Right on US 61, United States highways and interstate highway 61, the old type of interstate highways. And it goes from New Orleans, where it starts or ends, depending on your direction, and goes all the way up along the Mississippi River to north of St. Paul, Minnesota. And then it continues on as Minnesota Highway 61, next to the Great Lake Superior, and then into Canada as the Kings Highway 61. Anyway, so this brewery is probably right off that highway, and I think I'm going to go check that out. I went to Heileman Brewing one time in La Crosse, Wisconsin on 61. They had the world's largest six-pack, which actually contains beer. Today Heileman's sold their brewery the day I was there. The day I went to the brewery in 1996, they sold it. That was a shock. That was on the news all day long. But, of course, because they sold it that day to a company called Stroh's, Minnesota. And then Stroh's, 3 years later, sold their company to Pabst Blue Ribbon Company, Pabst Brewing Company, who hadn't done anything yet. They're still owning themselves. Okay. Anyway, I would like to go visit this brewery and tour it. Layers of decadent chocolate and peanut butter, built into a rich oatmeal porter. See, they made a little arrow with a space there. Make this beer impossible to have just one. We're not sorry. I'm only going to have one. I could go back to Mathernes and buy another. Now, thing about Louisiana, well, about Mathernes here in this town, and maybe in other towns they own a few stores. They have a lot of turnover, so a whole lot of stuff will come in, and then we'll get the next month a whole lot of stuff, and I'll go shopping there again, and then more stuff, and then stuff, you know, it's a lot of rotation. And that's the market, because people will be hot to run to this brand, that brand, this brand, that brand. And then they'll try something and say, I love it, it's awesome, and then never go back to it. So they got to keep the ball rolling in that respect. And that's why I tell people, don't send me beer because you're telling me you can't get that. You'll never get that. A week later, I'll say, well, there it is. And then you spend all this money and time to send me something that I got a month later. I appreciate you doing that, but there's really no point to it. 5.25% alcohol, 20 international bitterness units, 35 SRM, the darkness units, in a pint can. Independent craft brewer, Minnesota. Here we go, and away we go. As you can clearly see, I bought that Stroh's in Minnesota on a road trip. And if I'm on a road trip, I'm going to be trying everything, you know, buying beer here, there, and everywhere. So I was buying beer, of course. Went to a liquor store. You don't want to buy beer at a grocery store in Minnesota because they're all 4% alcohol, like 3.2% alcohol by weight, 4%, 4.1 by volume. So I made sure I went to a liquor store and oh, actually, at the time I didn't know that. I was glad I did. We have no kind of laws like that here. So I bought this, and it's a Minnesota can. And I bought a 12-pack back then, 96, and it was like, I don't know, $3.99. And many more things, which we cannot go into at this particular time. We always like going to Minnesota. Went to the caverns, went to the Mississippi River, went to where it started, went to see the Twins at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome twice, and at Target Field, the new stadium, once. Do all kind of things. Smells like chocolate and peanut butter. It smells like a Reese's peanut butter cup, because that's what it's designed to smell like. It's dark brown, almost black. It's a flavored ale. Macro flavored ales, micro flavored ales, middle crow flavored ales. 20 years ago, I'd be flipping out, making fun of these things, saying, it's fake, it's not real beer. You know, rah, 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 and damnation, and all of that. And then I realized later, like, you're the one with the fixation and the hang up. You need to relax. And then I did. Taste. That's the smell. Underlying malt, like a Whopper's malted milk ball, and now the taste. I'm just looking at all the stuff I bought in Minnesota over the years. And this is directly north of us, you see. It's heavier bodied than a porter you would expect. Some of these stouts would be thin like a porter, and some of these porters would be heavy like a stout. I don't make them. I just review them. You got the peanut butter. It's like powdered peanut butter. I'm sure, like, you can buy, you know. It's powdery like cocoa powder, which is what it tastes like. And the underlying malt, not malted wheat like a malted milk ball or a Burger King shake, or malt. What do they call them? Burger King or malt. And I think there are shakes at McDonald's, same thing. But like from malted barley. But it could have wheat. It doesn't say though. Usually the can will have a thing, contains wheat, contains peanuts, but they don't have that on there. I'm kind of triggered, you know, because some people are allergic to peanuts. And oh, that's right, I don't virtue signal. It's dry. It's very dry. The sweetness factor is not like too profound. I did a flavored ale from Wisconsin, right on 61, literally on 61, called Juice, and it was pretty sweet and sugary, but that's designed to be like that. It had a pretty strong hop bitterness, though, much more than this. I was like, wow, this is bitter from the orange rinds and the pith, and from the hop factor. I think, to be fair, and I always try to be fair and echo it, I'm gonna give it, and I don't know if there's any video reviews. I forgot to check. I was at church and I came back from mass and I wasn't thinking about it. Beer Advocates given it 89. Very good, but they only have 45 ratings. Rate Beer doesn't even have enough scores to give it a score. Less than 10. You gotta have 10 to give it even an average. Untapped has over 6,000 check-ins, but that's easy because you don't have to do anything. Just check. Everybody on the internet's in a rush, you know. I'm in a rush. I'm in a rush. Let me scroll past your thing. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah. I'm like, bunch of crazy people. Anyway, Untapped has 78. It's very high for Untapped. 79? No, 78. I'm gonna give it a 93. It's not my default score. People say, oh, you always give them 93. That's because that's what most beers score at. A 93, a most excellent score. It's similar to these other things, these other ones you get up from the Midwest, the old Northwest territories. go try me out. Go buy this if you can somehow find it. I probably won't see it in a week. It was $3.99 for the can. So we're talking about $16 for a 4-pack. That's your money. That's my money. That's your money. That's my money. Oh, look at the head. Beige. But get this, and then go get the Trader Joe's Bosom chocolate stout. No peanuts, but the chocolate stout. It's dry. Of course it's dry because you know they're using the powdered chocolate. And that's made in Wisconsin, right there in Monroe, Wisconsin, right? Wisconsin, Minnesota next to each other. So same concept, and you're going to find that does not taste much different than this, except you can get a whole 12-pack of that for $4.99, and that is the truth. I cannot tell a lie. I mean, I could. I cannot lie. It is that good. But it used to not be too good, but I guess that brewery in Wisconsin improved it. So a 93, a little heavier body than you might expect. But honestly, that doesn't bother me because sometimes porters would be a little too thin, a little too Bud Light thin for me. So this is almost like a stout porter. And of course, you know, as you well know, or should know, or could know, and now you do know, that all stouts or porters, and that's a fact. So Les Bon Ton Relais, a most excellent product, another gimmick flavored ale, and I'm a sucker for gimmicks. I love gimmicks. My whole life is built around gimmicks. And I'm gonna end this review by saying, y'all go to Minnesota and tour that brewery.